New info on COVID-19 guidelines as we reach 2 years into the pandemic.
Texas firefighters have been working tirelessly fighting West Texas blazes. We have the story.
Special look at an upcoming event. Stay tuned.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV News at Noon.
Thanks for joining us on ntTV News at Noon. I'm Christine Guevara.
And I'm Ashton Cotton. The country is seeing a sharp decline in both COVID cases and deaths. The efforts by the federal and state governments have made a difference. And one state with a unique approach to the pandemic has been Texas. ntTV's Austin Hedgecock explores that unconventional response to a global pandemic 2 years in.
Since on March 3rd, Texas Governor Greg Abbott declared a statewide emergency as the novel coronavirus made its way into the Lone Star State. On March 15th, the first Texan would die from COVID-19. Since that day, Texas has drawn attention from all across the country for the steps it has, or hasn't, taken to combat COVID-19. While Texas would temporarily ban evictions and non-emergency surgeries, Governor Abbott refused to implement a statewide stay-at-home order or force schools and universities to close.
What may be right for places like the large urban areas may not be right at this particular point in time for the more than 200 counties that have 0 cases of COVID-19.
With Abbott's decision to decentralize the fight against COVID, many counties across Texas issued month-long shelter-in-place orders. However, a few short weeks later, Abbott announced his plan to step in and reopen the state. Over the next few months, while confirmed cases, hospitalizations, and deaths continued to hit record highs, Texas would move forward with its multi-phase plan. Restaurants, movie theaters, and retail stores continued to open, and Abbott announced the state's first mask mandate, an order that would stay in effect until March of 2021. By the end of the year, frontline workers and residents of long-term care facilities began to receive the first doses of the vaccine. In the spring of 2021, the vaccine was made available to the public, and the plan to reopen Texas drew to a close.
Everybody who wants to work should have that opportunity. Every business that wants to be open should be open. It is now time to open Texas 100%.
As election season rolls around, situations appear to be improving statewide. Texas currently has an unemployment rate of 5%, down from 13% at the peak of the pandemic, and the state's GDP is higher today than it was before COVID.
Since March of 2020, Texas has reported over 6 million cases of COVID-19, with over 80,000 fatalities. As safety guidelines continue to change, the central message remains the same. Do your part to stop the spread.
The Biden administration has launched a new website to help provide Americans with more COVID-19 information. The website lays out data about vaccines, tests, treatments, and masks. Available in English, Spanish, and simplified Chinese, you can visit the website at covid.gov. Along with the website, President Biden is urging Congress to provide more funding to stay ahead of the pandemic. President Biden said this is about the ongoing fight against the virus.
We're now in a new moment in this pandemic. It does not mean that COVID-19 is over. It means that COVID-19 no longer controls our lives. Congress, we need to secure additional supply now. We can't wait until we find ourselves in the midst of another surge to act. It'll be too late. And we also need this funding to continue our efforts to vaccinate the world with commitments we made. It's critical to our ability to protect against new variants. There's no wall you can build high enough to keep out a virus.
While the pandemic is nowhere near its end, many places are looking to end some COVID-19 restrictions as vacation season begins. Amy Kiley with CNN has the details.
COVID-19 no longer controls our lives.
That means the relaxation of more restrictions and guidance, including some related to travel. The CDC now says cruises don't pose an increased travel risk, but it suggests checking out individual ship health guidelines and getting fully vaccinated against COVID-19 first. The FDA just expanded the emergency use authorization for a second round of Pfizer and Moderna boosters for people 50 and older. The president now has his, but the CDC clarifies people don't need that extra shot to be considered up to date on their COVID-19 vaccinations.
If you're over the age of 50 or you're younger than that and have important comorbid conditions, you should get boosted.
In other travel news, 21 states are suing the Biden administration to end the transportation mask mandate before it expires April 18th. That's in addition to other lawsuits from groups of pilots and flight attendants. And travelers now can get pandemic information about the places they plan to visit in the U.S. or where they live on covid.gov. Amid these changes, experts say to be ready for the Omicron subvariant to increase cases.
In the last week, case rates in the United States have become flat. And if you and I speak next week at this time, we'll be talking about how they're now starting to rise.
Congress has to provide the funding America needs to continue to fight COVID-19. And if we fail to invest, we leave ourselves vulnerable if another wave of the virus hits.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Now that COVID travel restrictions are soon being lifted, if you're planning to take a trip, you may see something new coming to U.S. passports. Starting next month, American citizens who do not identify as either male or female will have a new option on passport applications. They can use X as a gender marker, will signify as unspecified or another gender identity. According to the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, this is an attempt to be, quote, respectful of individuals' privacy while advancing inclusion, end quote. This is the first time a federal government agency has offered this kind of marker on an identity document. The X is expected to be available on other forms sometimes in 2023.
You know, Ashton, I'm actually planning to take a road trip today, but I really hope the weather won't change up on me while I drive.
Well, I do hope for you safe travels because I don't like driving in the rain. But let's head over to our weather anchor, Maya Nicholson, for more. Maya?
No need to fear, our full weather forecast is here. Our current conditions this afternoon is going to be mostly sunny with our temperatures sitting at 60 degrees and low wind speeds of 12 miles per hour. Later on this evening, we should expect those temperatures to rise just a bit to 67 degrees, feeling like 65. Tomorrow morning at around 7 a.m., those temperatures are going to drop to about 42 degrees. That's all I have for my first look. Back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Maya. Coming up, we have an update on the West Texas wildfires.
And if you need a caffeine pick-me-up, stay tuned later for Attention Eats.
Near Sanctus Spiritus.
I've got a good feeling about this one.
Hey, Maddie, miss me?
Wait, Bud?
What was that all about?
An old friend.
An old friend?
Good to see you, brother.
What the hell are you doing?
That's your lucky day.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, man. Oh, sorry.
Ukraine President Zelensky says negotiations with Russia has been only words. Russia claims to have scaled down their forces, but the brutal attacks on Ukrainian soil say otherwise. Phil Black with CNN has more from the front lines of Ukraine.
On the same day, Russia said it would limit attacks on Chernihiv. Its forces rained munitions down across shopping and residential areas. Russia's purported goodwill gesture didn't prevent another difficult, painful night for this city. Chernihiv's mayor, Vladislav Atrashenko, says Russia increased the intensity of its strikes. He says 25 people were wounded in a colossal attack. Chernihiv is cut off, surrounded. Ukrainian defenders are holding off Russia's soldiers while Russia's shells and rockets crash down from above. This Ukrainian soldier says he's embarrassed. He believes stories of Russia's power. Their only advantage, he says, they fight well against civilians. Artyom is scared, alone, young. He's 18. He was struck down by a Russian shell while walking in the center of Chernihiv. He's being moved to another facility in a car that wasn't designed for passengers like him. Volunteer ambulance drivers are now a vital service as Russia's bombardment tears apart the city and the people who live here, one blast at a time.
In the city of Mariupol, Russians have destroyed entire neighborhoods. They are determined to conquer the city even if there is nothing left to control.
The amount of American workers testing positive for drug usage rose to an all-time high from the last 2 decades. According to Quest Diagnosis, Inc., a drug testing lab, nearly 4% of those tested had marijuana in their system, a 50% jump since 2017. Quest Diagnostics says that although there has been a rise in positive tests, less companies have been testing for THC. They say the worker shortage could be contributing to less strict worker policies relating to marijuana usage.
The Eastland Complex wildfires that raged across over 50,000 acres is finally almost completely contained, which means that our brave firefighters can now come home. Grace White with KHOU has the story.
For Jason Adams, it's good to be home. The spring firefighter is back after facing the Eastland Complex fires in West Texas.
You have 6, 8, 10-foot flames, 40 miles an hour across the pasture. You can't get ahead of it. So the best thing you can do is go and try and save the houses that it's running towards.
His strike team's assignment, protecting 14 homes threatened by a spin-off fire.
Up there, it's a big farm and ranch community. So you've got people's houses, but also their livelihoods.
The 14 homes he was protecting were saved, but Adams says there were other areas that weren't as lucky.
I live in the country, and and I've been around cattle and stuff all my life, so it's like I have a soft spot in my heart for for people that are going through something like that.
And the hardest part of being away, thinking about his family back home.
I'm married with 3 kids, and it's just you tell them, say, hey, I'm going to be gone anywhere from 7 to 14 days. I love you, and good luck, I'll be back, so.
But the thank you he got from one of the families whose home he saved, a reminder of why it's more than a job, it's public service.
And she just came out and she gave us a hug. She's like, thank you so much, and it was just, that stuff like that, that's rewarding, and that makes it all worth it, to feel like you actually did make a difference.
And coming home with that in mind helps keep him ready for the next time he has to answer the call. Grace White, KHOU 11 News.
I'm glad to see those firefighters finally come home. I really hope the Texas heat doesn't get worse anytime soon.
Yeah, let's hope not. Those wildfires can be very dangerous. But let's bring it over to our weather anchor, Maya Nicholson, to see if we can expect some more of that dry weather this week. Maya?
Yes, this past week's weather was quite dry and drastic, but let's take a look at our full weather forecast to see what's up and coming. Taking a look across North Texas, we can see that we have McKinney sitting at 56 degrees, Fort Worth sitting at 60 degrees, and Gainesville sitting at 57 degrees. Zooming out, looking across the state, we can see that we have Abilene sitting at 63 degrees, and Oklahoma sitting at 52. Finishing off, looking at our 7-day forecast, tomorrow we should expect a high of 73 and a low of 47 degrees. Sunday we have a high of 81 degrees and a low of 61 degrees. And Monday we should expect a 70% chance of rain and thunderstorms. That's all for our full weather forecast. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Maya. With spring in the air, it's a telltale sign that school semester is progressing.
And that's right. For most of us, that means more late night studying. But let's hear from our segment anchor, Sydney Applegate, about some of the best Denton coffee shops sure to meet your caffeine fix. Sydney?
Thanks again, Christine. Denton is full of unique coffee houses to fit your vibe and your budget. Here are a few of our favorite local spots we know you'll enjoy. First up, drink coffee for a cause at Zera Coffee. On East McKinney Street, you can support the Denton Freedom House and the volunteer-based staff by trying out one of their variety coffees or opting for something on their breakfast or lunch menu. Next up, we have West Oak Coffee Bar, sure to give you the energy spike that you need. The Oak Street location has an amazing espresso bar, a warm environment for all guests, and an elaborate breakfast menu sure to satisfy any craving. Finally, we recommend stopping by Jupiter House on the Square. Beyond the classic coffee, the shop also provides specialty drinks like shakes and smoothies, delicious food, and a fun spot to work on your next group project. Each coffee house has something special about it that you'll have to experience for yourself. That's all I have for now. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Sydney. I know where I'm headed after this. Up next, we head out live for a Texture Farms annual Sharing Fest.
And an update on the slap heard around the world.
Imagine it's ice cream day at the office. And everyone from the day before voted for their favorite flavor. Everyone but you. You decided not to vote. The flavor they picked isn't the one that you wanted. But can you really complain? Shh! Now imagine that with an elected official.
Choose not to vote, choose not to be heard. Get registered today.
At a time when misinformation is all too common on social media, we take great pride in bringing you the news that matters, that impacts your family, news you can trust. Local broadcast journalists bring you the facts, covering the stories breaking in our community and across the globe. Text TV to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on local journalism. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
It's that time of year where everyone plays a dangerous game with the flu. Going in uneducated, you run the risk of symptoms like cough, migraine, and fatigue. Don't be like this guy. Combat the flu with cough drops, ibuprofen, and a good night's sleep. Be smart, don't catch the flu.
Did you hear where our live shot reporter Cameron Bias is at this afternoon?
No, I didn't. Where'd they send him?
Cameron is on an alpaca farm. Apparently there's some event going on.
Ooh.
Let's go over to Cameron Bias for more. Cameron?
Thank you, Christine and Ashton. So I'm currently standing outside the Texture Farms located in Aubrey, Texas. I am with a couple of the owners. This is Russell, and then we have Anna Meek over there. And this is Peaches, along with all of her alpaca gang. A lot of fluffy friends out here. So I have some questions for you, Russell. I wanted to ask you, could you give us a brief explanation as to what Texture Farms offers?
Certainly. So we're an alpaca farm. We're also a lavender farm and a Christmas tree farm. And we use all of that to create experiences for people, everything from festivals to workshops and family events.
Wow, that is so awesome. There's so much they offer here, and honestly, they caught me at alpacas. I heard that, and that was all I wanted. The next question I wanted to ask you, so I heard there's a shearing festival coming up April the 2nd on a Saturday. Could you give us a little information about that?
Absolutely. So it's a shearing fest, alpacas and artisans, and so every year we have to remove their coats in order to keep them cool for the summer, as well as we harvest their fleece to use for clothing, yarn, and arts. And so we're going to have a bunch of artisans out here working with the fiber, as well as some potters and woodwork and so forth.
And what a great way to show artists. Well, that's all I have for now. Thank y'all so much for watching. I'm gonna go enjoy my last moments with these alpacas and back to the desk.
Thanks, Cameron. The Oscars may be known for their jokes, but the Academy isn't laughing after Will Smith slaps comedian Chris Rock live on stage. The organization, Board of Governors, is reviewing Smith's actions and has already initiated disciplinary proceedings. According to the Academy, Smith was asked to leave following the incident, but he refused. He later went on to accept an award for Best Actor. In a statement released the next day, the Academy said they feel they, quote, could have handled the situation differently, end quote. Smith could face suspension or expulsion for Academy.
Maybe Will Smith should get into some martial arts. It looked like that form was a pretty good slap, you know?
It's funny because I actually missed it. I think I might have went to the restroom. It sucks, but let's head over to our sports anchor, Sebastian Nava, for more. Sebastian?
Thanks, guys. We'll be talking about our UNT softball team, who can give teams more problems than August Alsina. Stick around for more.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Let's get started. This is a motor vehicle. This is the blinker mechanism. To use it, push it up for the right blinker and down to go left. You're welcome. It was easy.
Hey, listen to my flow to save some H2O. This my water rhyme, and this is how it goes. First, turn off the sink and take some time to think. When you waste water, our supply shrinks. When you take a shower, not more than an hour. Shoot for 10 minutes and save water power. Use a reusable bottle, smart like Aristotle. Ditch all the plastic and be a role model. And that was my H2O flow. Please remember how it goes, because if you don't, Earth will go, oh no!
Mean Green softball are gearing up to take on the UTEP Miners this weekend right here at Lovelake Stadium. The Mean Green are coming off a weekend trip to North Carolina, where they won their weekend series versus the Charlotte 49ers 2-1. North Texas finished the series with a 6-1 loss on Sunday, featuring a lone solo home run from team slugger Kaylee Gamble. The series also featured exciting games for UNT, including a narrow 1-0 win on Friday and a 9-6 win on Saturday after being down 6-0 after the 4th inning. That game featured a 3-run home run in the 5th inning and a 6-run 6th inning to complete the comeback. UNT will be taking on a UTEP Miners softball team that is coming off a split doubleheader versus the Tarleton State Texans in Stephenville. The series starts tomorrow night at 6 p.m. right here at Lovelake Stadium. The Dallas Mavericks clinched a playoff spot and moved up to the 3rd seed in the Western Conference last night. The Mavericks were rocking and rolling in their win versus the Cavaliers in Cleveland. Last night's show starred Luka Doncic, who put up 35 points, 13 assists, and finished 1 rebound short of another triple-double with 9 rebounds. Doncic wasn't just a solo act, with a feature performance from Dorian Finney-Smith, who put up a career-high 28 points. Doncic and Finney-Smith formed a quartet with Jalen Brunson and Dwight Powell to have 4 double-digit scores, leading to a 120-112 win. The Mavericks win put them above the Golden State Warriors for 3rd seed in the Western Conference with 5 games left on the season. The current standings show the Mavs facing against reigning Defensive Player of the Year Rudy Gobert and the Utah Jazz. The USA men's national team booked their ticket to Qatar this winter after finishing third in the qualifying standings. The USA finished their campaign last night in the Estadio Nacional in San Jose to take on the Costa Rican national team. USA came into the game only needing to avoid losing by 6 or more goals in order to directly qualify to the World Cup. Despite the hard work and effort from Los Ticos, they only managed to score a 2-0 victory over the US MNT to advance to the qualifying playoff versus either the United Arab Emirates or Australia. The USA finished third in the final CONCACAF qualifying standing behind Mexico and Canada. The USA will find out who it will play in the World Cup group stages tomorrow at 11 a.m. after the World Cup draw in Doha. That's all I have for sports. Back to y'all.
Thanks, Sebastian. If you have children or enjoy creating art, listen up. Today is a very special day. It's National Crayon Day. Crayola crayons were invented back in 1902, and since then, the company produces over 3 billion crayons per year. Additionally, the first box of crayons was sold for just a nickel. Did you know that around 50 colors have been retired over the last 20 decades? So break out the colors and release your inner child.
My inner child has been released. I drew a flower. What about you?
I think I still got it. Mine is like a little sunset.
Ooh,
you know?
okay.
Yeah,
Let's see. Sebastian, what you got?
I just want to give a shout out to my 4th grade art teacher, Ms. Debut, for teaching me how to use crayons.
Nice. I love that. And you guys, what do you got?
I have a Powerpuff Girl.
Oh my God.
She kind of looks like you.
Yes, yeah, she looks like you. Okay.
And then, well, spring makes me think of cute little bugs and critters, so I drew a little bit of that.
That's cute. We are all artists, I would have to say.
We are.
Happily National Crayon Day to you guys and to you all watching.
Thanks for watching ntTV News at noon.
Join us again tonight here on North Texas Television.